Hello. For those of you who are new to my page, my name is Jamila McMallow, and I'm a transformation life coach. I serve high-powered women coaches, executives, and business owners. And by high-powered, I mean women who have that very strong work ethic and attitude, and also high-powered because when we work together, because of that attitude, they get phenomenal results. So today I'm talking about confidently saying no and setting a firm boundary. This is something that is a struggle for many women, and that is being able to tell people no and not feel bad about it or be made to feel bad about it. So, what I wanted to hop on here and go live and talk about was this particular topic, why it is such a struggle, and how we can break those struggles down so that we can start confidently saying no and not feel like we're doing something wrong. So first I wanted to share with you a story that popped up in my mind, and that actually was the inspiration for this live. So when I was in preschool, and I had to be about 4 years old, there was another little girl in my preschool, and she used to like to play in my hair, or she wanted to play in my hair. And I can remember at times allowing her to. I know my mother didn't like it. She told me as an adult, hey there. But in this particular instance, the little girl, like I said, I'm about 4 years old. I'm in preschool. And she had asked me if she could play in my hair. And I said, no. I told her no. And she said, well, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. And I said, okay, I don't care. And went on about my business. And I was spinning around. I remember I was spinning around in a circle in the little, recreation room, whatever, of the preschool. And the teacher comes up to me and she whispers and she says, she's like, it's not nice to say that we don't care. Now, as a 4-year-old, how I heard that, or the interpretation that I got was, okay, so you're not allowed to say what you feel. Not that that stopped me. Anyone that knows me knows, hey. But anyway, the point is it was this idea that me telling this little girl no, and I'm sure the teacher, what she was really trying to help me to appreciate was the way that I was saying it, just telling her no. But the fact is what the part that the teacher missed was when the little girl said, well, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. Because then the little girl, I guess, went and told on me and said that I had told her that I didn't care. Jamila said, I don't care. And so the teacher said something to me. But as I'm telling you the story, it's coming to me now. I'm like, okay, but the teacher, I don't think, realized that the little girl was the one who said, well, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. And see, that right there is the behavior that actually should have been corrected, because we don't make those types of threats. That's not how we operate and function in relationships. But anyway, I digress. The point being was I had every right to tell that little girl no. And when she didn't like it, that wasn't my problem. It wasn't my problem that she was unhappy with the fact that I would not allow her to do what she wanted to my hair. It was my hair. And I didn't want her playing in it. And I didn't have to allow her to play in it. And the simple fact that she didn't like that, or how I said it, as far as I'm concerned, is irrelevant. Okay, do you understand what I'm saying? So anyway, my point being is these little things that start when we're young, this conditioning of how we always have to, find some way to make it better for the other person. Now, I do believe in being courteous, absolutely believe in being polite, absolutely believe in being considerate of other people's feelings. I'm certainly not advocating being rude or crass or unnecessarily harsh. But what happens is whereas there should be some sort of a balance there, we end up erring on the side of wanting to not hurt their feelings. We end up erring on the side of worrying more about how the other person is going to feel than worrying about how we're going to feel when our boundary is crossed. Okay, so we end up spending more time worrying about how that person's going to feel versus how we're going to feel if we don't hold that boundary and it gets crossed. Okay? So the messaging that we get, the conditioning that can start to happen is that we begin to feel as though we're not allowed to say no, that we're not allowed to tell people that we don't like something, don't want something, no, they can't do this, no, they can't do that, because if we do that, then we're not a nice person or we're a bad person. Do you see how when children hear those things, those messages, what gets internalized? As adults, it's something that we really have to work on in our communication, and it's really why I'm very conscious of my languaging with my children. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old because I'm wanting to be very careful about what they're hearing versus what they're internalizing. So I always try to think of how are they going to hear this, before I say it. But when we feel like we're not allowed to say no, when we feel like we're not allowed to set a boundary because if we do, we're in the wrong, or we're a bad person, or we're not being nice, that's a problem, okay? And what really needs to happen in order to solve this particular struggle that we may have with saying no, and this is the first area because I'm going to talk about 2 more, but what we can do when it comes to this conditioning is really we have to reset it. And we have to give ourselves permission to say no. We have to give ourselves permission and understand that we as individuals, we're not a bad person. And telling someone else no, or that they're not allowed to do something, or that we're not going to let them do something, hey, is not, that does not make us a bad person. It doesn't make us in the wrong at all. We have every right to set boundaries, to put up protective walls when necessary, and not have certain limits crossed. Because when our boundaries and limits get crossed, then we're the ones that end up hurt, damaged, traumatized, and having to deal with the aftermath of all that, and essentially unhappy. And so again, we have to give ourselves permission to say no and make that disconnect and understand that no, I am not a bad person. I'm a good person because I am taking care of myself first. Because just like the overused airplane analogy, if you don't put your oxygen mask on first, who are you going to help? So if you are not protecting your boundaries, your emotional energy, your time, your resources, if you are not protecting them and allowing them to be used in a way that you see as being wise and fit versus just willy-nilly at the mercy of whomever asks for whatever, then you're not taking care of you. And when you're not taking care of you, then your cup continues to get empty. And then you can't show up and be the person that you want to be for those people who you want to be there for and who are essentially deserving. Now, the second point that makes this a struggle is the fact that we don't sometimes make ourselves a priority. And this really, as with everything, if you watch me long enough or listen to anything I say or join a clubhouse room, you're going to find that all roads typically lead back to childhood. And this is no different. And so when, as a child, we were not made to feel valuable or loved or important, or if we were the oldest child and we had several siblings and we were in the business of sacrificing our needs to take care of them, or constantly putting others first, or guilted or shamed into not even asking for more or sharing or asking for what we desired. All of those things, we internalize that to mean that we're not important. Our feelings don't matter. And so then we show up as an adult in life and we put everybody and everything first. Now, on the one hand, yes, it makes us a very generous person, someone who does a lot of good for a lot of people. But inside, we're emotionally bankrupt and drained because we don't put ourselves not only not at the top of the list, we're not on the list at all. And it's not until we're completely burnt out and bitter and resentful and angry, that we go, wait a minute, I think I need to do something. But what can happen is you will get to this point, you'll keep doing this as a cycle. You'll get burnt out and blow up at everybody. And then you'll start right back on the same little roller coaster again. And so when it comes to this feeling like you're not important, like you're not a priority, like your feelings don't matter, the work that really has to be done there is going back and identifying what that original wound was, where you got that messaging. Hey, Teresa, where you got that messaging that you were not a priority. Because not feeling like a priority, if that's, for example, how your parents made you feel, then how you're going to show up in life is, wow, if my own mom and dad didn't think I was important, then why would I think I'm important? And so that's the work that has to be done, is you have to go back, identify and heal that wound so that you can come to realize and appreciate that you are in fact important and worthy and deserving, and that you are a priority, that your feelings do matter, that your thoughts do matter. You matter, okay? And so the good news is you absolutely can do that for yourself. You can give yourself what your parents did not give you. In fact, when you get to be in your late 30s and 40s, or whenever you finally wake up one day and you're like, I got to do something about me, and step one is you always got to reparent, okay, and get into some of those areas where there's some gaps, some wounds, some trauma, and heal around that so that you can move forward. Now, the third reason why it can be a struggle to confidently say no and set a boundary can be a fear of rejection. You could be afraid that people are not going to like you anymore. Or like I mentioned earlier, people aren't going to think you're a nice person, or people aren't going to think that, or people might think you're a bad person. Where here's the thing about that fear of being rejected. The people that you're afraid are going to reject you for saying no are probably people that you should have already rejected and ejected from your life a long time ago, because they're probably users and takers. Because only people like that get irritated when you cut off the supply of your time, energy, and resources, okay? They're the only ones that are gonna get mad when you say no, because when you leave the door wide open, when you grant every request, when you don't make yourself a priority, when you keep going above and beyond and seeing no degree of appreciation or maturity or anything happening on their part, but you keep showing up and doing and giving, they're just gonna keep taking. And you'll probably find that if this is something you struggle with, that you tend to attract users and takers. And because they know they can get what they want from you, and they don't have to do anything in return except throw maybe a little guilt trip on you, maybe put you down a little bit, or act like, well, how can you not help me because this and that, maybe tell you a sob story. Or as I used to like to watch Judge Greg Mathis, and one of his little phrases, he calls it his dry begging. When you go to somebody and you tell them your sob story because you're hoping that they're going to offer to give you some money. And so you may have a lot of folks coming around you with their sob stories, dry begging, and you're like, oh, well, here you go, or I can this and that. And then, they say they're going to pay you back, like he says on his show, when they get their tax refund, and they never do. So the point is, because you're afraid of being rejected, you keep saying yes. And the fact is, let them reject you so you can have your time and energy and resources available for yourself and for those who really love and appreciate you. Do not show up in a relationship from a place of guilt. Do not show up and feel like you have to keep going and doing and being because of XYZ that you have to make up for. Listen, whatever the situation or scenario is, if it is something perhaps where you needed to apologize, or you've made it right, or whatever the case is, then it's done. Do you understand what I'm saying? And a lot of these folks, it's simply not that deep. It's you. It's not them. Listen, let me tell you something about a user and a taker. They know exactly who they are. And they know exactly who to play. And they know exactly what to do. Hey there. They know exactly how to get what it is that they want and need from you. So they're not confused about who they are. In fact, they already know. They're playing you, and you're not the only one that they're playing. They're playing others too. It's you that's confused. And it's you that keeps falling for that game of, oh, well, the sob story. And then you feel guilty. Well, if I don't help them, who will? Or if I don't do it, who will? Or I don't want them to be, in this situation or that situation. Excuse me, if they are a grown adult, they will figure it out just like everybody else, especially if this is not the first or the second or the third, but the umpteenth time that you've assisted them and they somehow still can't seem to get it together. So let them go ahead and reject you. Say no, put up the boundary, and allow that relationship to dissipate out of your life. And trust me, you're not going to feel bad about it. Because when you put up a boundary, when you confidently say no and protect your energy, protect your resources, protect your time from individuals like this, you feel a deep sigh of relief. The reason why you feel this angst and this resentment is because you are sacrificing yourself and not for a good cause. And so you're getting angry. The person you're really angry at, it's not them for not paying you back, for keeping calling and all this. And you're really angry at you because you're like, why do I keep doing this? Why can't this and that, right? So if this is your struggle, this fear of being rejected or this fear of, oh no, I have to be that person because my goodness, their sob story is going to play out exactly how they told me. And then I'm going to feel guilty and it's going to be all my fault. No, it's not. No, it's not, because grown adults have the ability to make choices and decisions. And if this particular individual is someone who has included you as a bailout plan, then no, they're never going to decide to make the right choices and decisions. And so you're essentially enabling them to continue coming to you for this. We can't even call it support because it's not really support. It's just using you. So just to review, what we've talked about in being able to confidently say no and set a boundary. First of all, it's a struggle because of our conditioning as children, being made to feel or believe as though if we tell a person no, or if we put up a wall or a boundary, that we are a bad person or we're not nice or we shouldn't say no or not allow somebody to do this or that. So it's that conditioning that has to be undone. And it means that we really have to reset ourselves. Hey, Naomi, and give ourselves permission to say no and understand and recognize that no, I am not a bad person. No, I am not not a nice person because I have said no and put up a boundary and protected my time, energy, and resources. Listen, you are a good person and you're being good to you first so that you then can be in a position to have something to give and to share with those who you desire to help and who really are worthy and deserving of it, okay? And who are not the users and the takers. The second point is as to why this is a struggle is because you may have an issue with making yourself a priority, which is rooted in childhood of not being made to feel like you were valuable or important or needed. Maybe your parents never made your dreams come true. Maybe they always told you no. Maybe you were the oldest sibling and you had to go and do and be for your younger siblings, and what you needed or wanted was not even a factor. Or maybe the circumstances were such that you weren't ever allowed to have what you wanted or to even ask for it. And so you got this internalized belief that you were not important and your feelings didn't matter. And then you go into adulthood and that's how you show up. You just put yourself on the back burner and go and do and be for everybody else because you think you have to. And the way to heal that is to identify that original trauma, acknowledge it, release it, and allow it to heal. Okay? And then finally, this third fear, obviously there's always multi-facets to a particular topic, but I'm just covering 3. And finally, this last area of being afraid of rejection really is a non-starter because the folks that you're rejecting, you're not going to miss. So it's okay. It's totally okay. Yes, Teresa. I know that's right. So if you have any thoughts or comments or questions that you would like to share, you can go ahead and type those in. I have a few more things to say, but I want to encourage you to do that because there seems to be a delay sometimes here on Instagram. But anyway, my point being that when it comes to this issue of being confident and showing up as yourself and feeling good about it, I'm actually doing a free masterclass next Wednesday, June 30th at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And it's called Who Am I Anyway? And we're going to be talking about all things confidence. Like first, getting in touch with your original gifts and talents, or those things within you that really bring you joy that you've lost throughout your life. Because really a part of feeling confident is being comfortable with you. Well, in order to do that, you got to know who she is, right? And then the second area we're going to be talking about in my masterclass is forgiving yourself for the mistakes and choices and decisions you've made, like letting some of these users and takers, into your life, but by not continuing to beat yourself up about it. Because if you're beating yourself up and you're the voice in the back of your mind that's tearing you down, you're not going to feel confident and be able to step out there and show up as you. And then finally, we're going to be talking about how to shift from that fear into confidence, that fear of, being judged or rejected, or all of the things that I've been talking about in my lives over this last week. And so we're going to be getting into all of that in this masterclass next Wednesday. It's just 90 minutes. You can register by clicking the link in my bio at Coach Jamila LV. Something else that I'll be sharing during that masterclass are the details on my new group program for 10 incredible, amazing women that I'm super excited about. It's called Embrace Your Power and Confidence. And it's all about helping you get back in touch with you and growing and transforming from that place of feeling healed and whole and happy. And then being able to show up in your relationships and even in your business more confidently as yourself, feeling good really in your own skin, owning your power, and not feeling like you have to hide or diminish yourself because the person next to you might think, ooh, who does she think she is? I think I am whoever the heck I think I am. And you don't have to like it. So we're going to give you some permission to stand in that truth, okay? So if that sounds like you're like, ooh, girl, you talking my language. Absolutely. You are welcome to schedule a free consultation with me. You don't have to wait to the masterclass. You can also click the link in my bio, and there's a link there for a 20-minute call where I can talk to you in more detail about this group program. Again, it's going to launch on July 1st, and then registration ends on July 7th because it's only for 10 women. Thank you, Teresa. Yes. So, all right, ladies, I want to thank you so much. I wanted to hop on here real quick. My son is in the bath time routine with dad, or bedtime routine, and so he's almost done, and I don't want to miss out because we always read him a story and praying everything together. So, and plus once he comes out, he might get loud. And so that's why I want to hop off before that happens. But thank you so much for being here with me and chiming in live and joining me here. And also, if you're watching the replay of this on IGTV, same thing, just click the link in my bio or send me a DM. If you have any questions or you want to learn any more about Embrace Your Power and Confidence program, and don't forget to register for my masterclass. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you guys all for hopping on here with me. You have a good night, and I'll see you probably tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye.